The real estate market has finally cooled down. Yay! Wait, still seeing bidding wars and prices are still up. So is it? That's a great question. And in this week's video, we're going to look at what's happening in the real estate market, what's going to happen, and most importantly, what you should do about it. Hi, I'm Paul Haley, Toronto realtor, investor, educator, and speaker. And I want to help you think about this Toronto real estate market. This real estate headline caught my attention. I read something like, the Toronto housing market cools down in May as exhausted buyers take a break. Whoa, that sounds pretty good. Sounds like, we're normalizing, right? But then when you read the article, it actually says prices are still up. Yeah, volume's a little bit down from April, but there's no crash. That's probably what you're expecting when you read that headline. So what the heck is happening, Paul Haley? So TRREB just released the numbers. And remember, newspapers are trying to sell. Newspapers are online subscriptions, right? So let's look at what happened in May. Now, typically, we compare May of 2021 to May of 2020. But let's, those numbers are a little skewed for obvious reasons. So let's just look at May compared to April, right? So sales were down 12.3% compared to April, so total sales. New listings were down 10.8%, so not quite as much. And prices were still up to 1.6% to a little over $1.1 million. Congratulations, Toronto, a new record. So typically, what we see is, we see January, February, March, April, May, we see sales continue to rise each and every month. And this year, because January to March was so hot, we're actually seeing April and May come back down a bit. So that's not normal. So what's happening? So this is not a normal year. Let's put it that way. And, I was interested, so I looked back at the numbers to see, year to date, what's the next highest year? The next highest year I found from January to May was 2016, when there was a little over 47,000 sales in that period. And we're already at close to 60,000 sales in the GTA for that same period. So we're already way ahead in terms of sales. So, that's what's happening. There's a lot of activity January to March, and there's still activity April, May. Things are still happening, but the market's slowing down from that peak. And why is that? So there is some buyer fatigue, some uncertainty about what's going to happen in the market. We're still seeing lots of people out there because Canadians have saved record amounts and interest rates are clearly super low. So people are interested in buying a house, but there is definitely some buyer uncertainty, and Ontario is opening up again, right? So, I think, and the clients we talk to, people kind of want to enjoy life, right? I think they're probably a little tired of talking about real estate. It's no longer the first thing people talk about when they hook up. Now we're talking about getting our second vaccine, lots of other things. We want life to continue, and people are, maybe a little tired of real estate and are taking a little break. And what we've noticed, is that we're still seeing bidding wars on properties that are marketed well, but we're seeing, 4 to 8 offers, sometimes less, not 30 that we were seeing, 30 plus that we were seeing between January and February. The properties that aren't marketed well are sitting there, right? They're not selling. They're getting terminated. They're just not selling. And like I said, lots of buyers are taking a bit of a break. Not what I recommend, but I understand there is buyer fatigue out there. You just kind of want to enjoy life a little bit. So I get it. It's not what I recommend if you're in the market. So hopefully this means, the market is quote unquote stabilizing. The government is jumping in. We'll talk about that in a minute. But really, the long-term, I guess the medium to long-term story for the city of Toronto hasn't really changed. We're going to see lots of immigration, whenever borders open up, whenever people come back. We're going to see 200,000 people a year move to the GTA, and we don't have the supply, right? We're going to be short housing at least 15,000 units a year for the next 10 years. That hasn't changed. We're not building any more houses. If anything, it probably slowed down a little bit. And, truthfully, we're going to see low interest rates probably for a while as, governments want to encourage economic growth. So, that's going to fuel housing prices over the next medium to long term. So the real question, is what's going to happen with economic growth and, inflation, right? So job growth was 2.2% in the city of Toronto. And, businesses are having a hard time hiring people back right now, partially because, people are off and getting paid and are reluctantly, understandably, to go back to work. And we are seeing some inflation. Inflation was 3.4% CPI. So, the real question is, how are governments going to react to that? So let's talk about that a little bit. So speaking of government intervention, so to cool the market, OSFI, which regulates banks, basically, has increased the qualifying rate. So not the rate you get, but the rate at which you have to qualify, from 4.79 to 5.25% on uninsured mortgages, which has the effect of reducing anyone's buying power by about 5%. So it will be interesting to see how that translates in the month of June, because that came into effect June 1st. And, government intervention in real estate often has unintended consequences. That's why I'm a little hesitant to say, even if we do experience some inflation, I think governments are going to be reticent to jack up interest rates right away. Certainly they'll scale back benefits first, I would imagine, stop spending money, and see what happens to inflation. And the central bank, interestingly, this month also said, maybe quantitative easing might have created a bit of a wealth gap. So just so you know, quantitative easing in Canada, the government was going into the bond market, the mortgage bond market, and buying mortgage bonds. Typically, they do that after they've tried the interest rate levers. But in this situation, they just went out and did both. And, it doesn't take a genius to predict that was going to have an effect on the real estate market. You think? So my prediction is, we are going to see probably in the medium term, maybe short term to medium term, some price correction outside of the GTA, maybe in the suburbs. So outside of the GTA, prices are up, anywhere from 40, 50% even in some areas, when they haven't seen huge population growth or, lots of created new jobs or any of the economic indicators you would want to see that go along with, real estate prices increasing significantly. And it's really just the Toronto effect, as people in Toronto, moved out of the city temporarily, driven prices up in all these areas. So, I think when we look at Canadian real estate, we're going to see a correction. But when you're talking about Toronto, like old city of Toronto, York, we're going to keep marching on. That's my belief. You might see some in the suburbs, because the suburbs have gone up significantly more than the city, partially because, prices had more room to grow in those areas. But I think you'll see worst case probably flat pricing, which, to be honest, I would love as a realtor to see a long period of flat pricing. That may surprise you to hear that, but it's what we want is stability as realtors, right? But I think, long term, you'll see Toronto just kind of keep going and going because of those things I've said. We don't have enough houses and people want to move here, right? So what should you do about it? That's really the important point of all this jibber jabber. And listen, there's probably hasn't been a better time to buy in recent months. The market has cooled. Yeah, there's still bidding wars. It's still a seller's market, albeit not a strong seller's market right now, especially in the core. So it is a good time to get out there, and especially properties that aren't marketed well, you can get a deal. And, listen, we've gotten deals for people in the past 5 months, in the past year, we've gotten some amazing deals, because if you're looking to buy real estate, you just got to be prepared. And, it's a game of patience and being able to act quickly. And, what we help people do is understand that and be ready when we find those deals. We're able to pounce on them, right? And, a lot of people are, probably thinking, hey, maybe I'll just wait and see what happens, and I call that market timing, right? You're trying to say, oh, well, maybe I'll wait to buy when the market comes down. The problem with that is it's very difficult to do, because it means you're going to go ahead and buy real estate when everyone else is not talking about, not super excited about it, right? Like now, people aren't talking about it, and you're thinking of taking a break. When this is probably the time when you should be like, oh, maybe this is time to jump into the market because I can find a deal. I can go and get something, right? And condos, I think we have a few months left to be able to get a decent price on a condo. I think when immigration comes back, and they've changed some of the rules to help first-time buyers, so that's really going to drive the lower end of the market, which in the city of Toronto is condos. And we've seen this gap between freehold and condos increase over the past year, as people, probably rightly so, didn't want to live in a condo when you couldn't access amenities, and you didn't have to work downtown. So I think, as businesses open up, as they want people to come back to work, as there's lots of things to do, as amenities come back and immigration comes back, we're going to see a big push on the price of condos. And if you are thinking of selling, listen, it still is a seller's market. Prices are still up. It is still a good time to sell. You may want to help getting a deal first before you sell your property, just in case you can't find the property to move to. And we can market your property properly so you get an amazing price for your property and get an amazing deal for the house that you're moving to. So I hope you found that hugely helpful. If you are looking to buy, there's still lots of opportunities out there. If you're looking to sell, we'd be happy to help. Please reach out, info@thinkto.ca. If you like this video, please like it so we know to make new content like this each and every week. If you have any questions, please leave a comment or shoot us an email. Please smash that subscribe button so you get updated when we produce a new video each and every week. Talk soon.